Hey everybody, it's Kendall Anise, the Remix Coach. All right, so I've been thinking, wasn't sure how I was going to deliver this message, whether it was in written form or verbally. And my thought was to just do it in written form. But then I was compelled to turn the camera on. I'm talking about what happened in Buffalo, New York. I didn't know if I was going to give commentary. I didn't know if I was going to give thoughts. I didn't know. And didn't even plan on turning the camera on today to talk about this, but I feel like I have to for so many different reasons. First, my condolences to the family members who lost their loved ones, and I'm going to make sure in the body of this video that I put their names and say their names. I was born in Buffalo, New York. My parents were born in Buffalo, New York. Many of my cousins were born in Buffalo, New York, and my parents were raised there, went to school there. Maybe not in the area where this happened. Maybe they didn't shop at that grocery store, that top store. My godmother, who is still in Buffalo, New York, said that that's the only black store, and the only supermarket in the black community at this time right there. Targeted. The shooter specifically went there to the hood, to the black community to shoot. He later says that, he was under pressure and isolation and he did this because of COVID. He drove about an hour and a half to the city of Buffalo to do this. Again, Buffalo, New York is a small community. Whether, my mother lived in a different part of town, my grandmother lived in a suburban part, my father was raised Buffalo, New York. Now, I've gone back to Buffalo a million times to visit grandparents, to visit family that they're still in Buffalo, New York. Can tell you everything about Buffalo. And my mom is really upset, really disturbed. She grew up in Buffalo, New York. Everybody knows where that intersection is, where the store was. My grandmother, I even stayed with my grandmother in the 4th grade. I went part of the school year in Amherst, New York, which is a suburb of Buffalo. Like, you can get to Buffalo in 5-10 minutes, it's not that far. But I remember in 4th grade when I was there for a couple of months outside of going back to visit, I remember my grandparents were the first black people in their neighborhood. Like, when I was in 4th grade, it wasn't nobody black in there or in the neighborhood, and now since, black people are in that neighborhood, and she's since moved to the state that I'm in right now, which is Maryland. So even removed from Buffalo, my roots are still there. My family's roots are still there. So anytime Buffalo has headlines, especially something tragic like this, I'm going to zoom in and pay attention. My mom says she's watching every single news article, news clipping, all of that. I just can't. I can't do it because I'm sickened and I'm saddened and it hurts, and I cannot watch everything. I just can't. But I want to acknowledge and I want to recognize those innocent people in there grocery shopping, something that we all do, grocery shopping, minding their own business. And then someone comes in, a young man, I believe he's 18 years old. He bypassed the white people. When he saw the white people, he was like, oh, excuse me, sorry, the videos are online. But he deliberately sought out, planned, and shot these beautiful people of all ages. A lot of them were elderly. The youngest I believe I saw was 32. And now they had to get the call. All the family members were upset, crying, wondering if their family member was one of the ones involved in this shooting. And to find out, I can only imagine. I'm sickened and saddened about what happened. I'm sickened and saddened about the violence and the racism and killing people because they don't look like you, they don't think like you, they don't feel like you, whatever it is. At the end of the day, we are human beings and we're people, and we deserve to be here and to live, and not have someone open fire at people just because they're Black. This is 2022. We can go back years, decades, the beginning, and still see the same patterns, that Black lives don't matter. Like, we don't matter. We're not people. This is not a video game, people, where you shoot people and then they jump back up and they get another life. That's not how it works. And I'm sad. My mom, to see her sad, and she's talking to, folks in Buffalo right now. I had some good friends that literally just moved to Buffalo a few years ago. I was watching even Stevie J's Uncensored on TV1, and he was talking about he moved to Buffalo when he was young, and he talked about Bennett High School. That's the high school that my parents went to, and the supermodel Beverly Johnson. So Buffalo. And then I ran into a couple of people and I saw their area code, and I asked them, I was like, you're from Buffalo? Like, Buffalo has been. And then, of course, my grandmother who moved here wants to go back to Buffalo because that's where she knew. That's where she, both all of my grandparents, heck, I was born in Buffalo. So, of course, my parents and their parents, it's all connected. And my grandmother who just moved here, my paternal grandmother a few years ago, she always talks about wanting to go back to Buffalo. She has her friends there. She has her life there. She's in her 80s, She spent most of her time there. And she still talked to me, my grandmother, hey, you remember when we went here, we went there? Because I would always go back and visit, and then I lived there for like a couple of months with her when I was 9. And they even planted a tree when I was born in their front yard, representation, what grandparents, man, my grandfather, of me. So I have literal roots and physical roots and emotional roots in Buffalo. But this is not about me, but to hear those headlines about some place where my family comes from, and to see all those Black people out there, and this senseless act happen. I'm surprised. Now, y'all know, I'm gonna keep it real. If it was a Black person that did that shooting, he wouldn't even have made it out to walk out. Let's just be clear. So that's another form of racism, right? I'm just tired. I'm sickened and I'm saddened. I don't know what, it's not scripted what I'm saying. I didn't know what I was gonna say, but I just mainly want to say I'm saddened and I'm sorry to these families who have to now bury their loved ones because of this senseless act of violence. These people didn't deserve that. They have lived all of these years probably trying to live good and doing well and, trying to be healthy and doing all the things that you're supposed to do to live your best life, praising God, like everything I'm sure that they were doing. And then you think that you're doing something regular, like going to the supermarket, and that's the day you lose your life. So you may not know the names, you may not know the faces, but you know the act and what happened. And I was talking to an older white woman today at work, and I was saying it's sad about what happened in Buffalo, white woman. And she said, what happened in Buffalo? I said, you didn't hear what happened? It's all over. She's like, no, I was worrying about, I just keep seeing what's happening overseas. Yes, that's sad too. Yes, It's horrible too, what's happening. Yes, it is. But this is a drive from where we are. And whether you watch the news, because I don't watch the news, I cannot. But social media, people talking. She had no clue what happened in Buffalo. That's a problem for me. It's a problem. Is it because it happened to Black folks? Is it because a white person did it? Or do you not care to know? Or are your blinders just on? Whatever it is, we need to know what's happening. We don't have to be inundated with it, but we need to know what's happening. And I saw that, and I saw Buffalo. Anytime I see Buffalo, New York, I'm going to look up. If it's not the Buffalo Bills, what's going on in Buffalo, because a lot ain't popping in Buffalo. Let's be clear, except that pizza. That pizza is on point. But that's a whole, I digress. But a lot is not popping in Buffalo. So when you see the news of Buffalo, and we ain't talking about no wings, which derive from Buffalo. We're talking about human lives in Buffalo. It's a problem. And if I can use my platform for everything else, then I'm going to use my platform to say it's a problem. This is senseless, and I'm saddened by what's happened in Buffalo. So please keep these families in prayer continuously. Because sometimes when people pass, keep them in prayer for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 months, and then you're on. Try to keep these families who lost their loved ones by grocery shopping in prayer. Praying for Buffalo. This is Kendall Anise, the Remix Coach. God bless.